Hello, this is Mr. Wedge, and today we're going to paint in the Picasso style self-portrait we started last time. So I used black paint and a small brush, and I outlined the shapes of my face and eyes, nose, mouth, and I showed you two different ways you could outline it. A realistic way and a more abstract way. Today we're going to paint it in with color, because this is a really boring painting. It needs color. But I'm going to show you three ways to color it in. So I'm looking at this painting of myself and it looks kind of happy. So that kind of reminds me of Picasso's Rose period when he was kind of cheerful and his colors were warm and bright. So I'm going to definitely use red for the Rose period. So I'm going to need red. And I've got a paper plate and I'm just going to pour a little bit out. About a quarter size amount, the size of a quarter, 25 cents. And you're also going to need a little brush and a big brush, and we'll talk about why in a second. But I don't just need red for the Rose period, I'm also going to need white. What? We'll talk about why. And we're also going to need black. What? We'll talk about why. So quarter size amount each time. So anyway, I've got red, white, and black. And we're going to talk about three different ways to paint. But this is just one way to set up your palette. This is my paint palette. It's a paper plate. Now, if I've got some areas that I just want to be red, that's totally fine, like the background. Now, the background's big. Well, that's where I could use my big brush. So I could paint the whole background with my big brush and it would go really quickly. It's a big area, so I should use the right size brush. So big area, big brush, small area, small brush. Don't worry about the table. Go right to the edges, okay? Alright, I skipped ahead to save you guys some time and I filled in the background with my big brush. But Picasso didn't just use red during the Rose period. Well, he used other colors too, but mostly red. But there's not just one kind of red. There's light red, dark red. You can have light and dark of any color. So even though he used red in the Rose period, he would change it a little bit. My skin's kind of light and my hair's kind of dark. So I could make my skin light red and my hair dark red and it would still look like me. So, but I've got red, I've got white, I've got black. If I want to make dark red, I'm going to scoop up red, put it in a new pile, scoop up black, and stir it in my new pile, and that'll be dark red. It's still red, it's just a darker value. So we're changing our values today. And notice I'm using my little brush now because I'm going to paint things like my eyes and my hair. If you remember, we painted above and below the top of our head. So now we have this weird line in the middle where our skull would be. Well, you can just paint over that line. You don't need it anymore. And I know that you can see through the paint right now, but once it dries, you won't be able to. So the paint's kind of see-through until it dries. And then, ta-da, it's like solid again. So anyway, there you go. But my skin's gonna be a little bit lighter. I just have lighter skin. So I'm gonna wash my brush in a bucket of water, dry it off, and I can mix light red. We took red and black and we mixed them and we made a shade. But we can also make a tint by taking red and mixing it with white and making a shade. And that shade is called, or that tint is called pink. Sorry. This is a tint, this is a shade. Don't mix your tints and your shades, it'll just turn gray. But you can definitely mix as many different kinds of that color as you want. So now I can paint in my neck, I can paint in my forehead and my nose and my cheeks and my ears. Notice I'm using a little brush though. So just think about the size brush. If you have a huge area to paint, go ahead and get a big brush. And if you have a little area to paint, get a little brush. I'm going to skip ahead again. So there we go. So, sorry, I skipped ahead again. So I've got this whole painting done, so this can go on the drying rack, but I said I'd show you three ways, so let me show you a different way. That was if you want to do the Rose period, because this kind of looked happy to me and it was realistic. But you might look at your painting And it might be realistic like this, but instead of happy, it might look more serious or sad or angry. And Picasso had this time in his life before the Rose period when he was kind of depressed. He had a tragic thing happen in his life. A really good friend of his died in a really sad way. So Picasso was pretty bummed out, and he used a lot of blue. So if you're gonna do a painting in the blue period style, you would get blue on your plate instead of red. But you would still take the same amount of paint, and you would still take white, and you'd still get some black on your paint too, because you'd paint it the exact same way. And just like the Rose period, it's the same thing, but instead of red, it's blue. So you'd still want to make your tints. So I've got my clean, dry brush. I scoop up blue, put it in a new pile. Scoop up white, put it in a new pile. And I've got a tint of blue, and I can use that to paint things like my skin or my hair. Because my skin's light, my hair's dark. Everybody's hair is different. You might have really light hair. You might have really dark skin. Everybody's different, right? So just think about how light or dark. But we're going to start out by picking the style that we want to paint in. So if it's realistic, it's up to you. Do you want to do the blue period or the Rose period style of Picasso's? That's your call, okay? I'm going to skip ahead and I'm going to do this blue period painting. There we go. So I skipped ahead again and I got this one done too. So that's how you would do it in the blue period. It's all blue, but I've got tints, and a tint is just light blue or light red or light green or any light color. So color plus white, that's a tint. Make it in a new pile. And then a shade is just the color plus black. But you mix it in a new pile, and that way you still have your old colors. And so we're going to use tints, shades, and you can use the old colors too. That's fine, because I did all three. So there we go. But maybe you did a more abstract self-portrait, like this one. Maybe you did more in his cubist style. So one thing Picasso would do if he did an abstract portrait, he would still use like some realistic colors, unlike the blue period, right? That was kind of crazy. It was a realistic picture, but the colors weren't realistic because he kind of used the colors to show how he felt. This one would be, he could kind of do whatever he wanted to, but sometimes he would still use skin color. So here's a good way to make skin color. You can get as many colors as you want, just leave some room to mix on your plate. Just take a quarter size amount. And if you want to make skin color, a real easy way to do it is orange, white, and black. And everybody's skin color is different, so that way you can adjust it to make a skin color that looks like yours. So if it looks too orange, add more black and white. If it looks too gray, add more orange. If it looks too light, add more black. If it looks too dark, add more white. So you can keep changing it. Like this looks too gray to me, so I'm going to add a little more orange to it. And that kind of looks like my skin color. That's a little better. So I can use that and paint in my skin. And I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to skip ahead one more time. But the point is, if you're going to do an abstract cubist painting, you know, definitely use some skin color in there, but you can also use whatever colors you want. Okay, so yeah, abstract cubism. The shapes weren't in the right spot, but it's still, it's still a self-portrait. Still a picture I did of myself. And I thought about what size brush I was using, no matter what style I did. I washed and dried the brush in between colors. I thought about the style, and then I got the colors I need. You can use colors, and you can definitely mix colors on the plate too, and you should do that. But it's up to you. Do you like the blue period? Okay. Do you like the Rose period? Or do you like the Cubist period? So it's up to you. So think about the style you want to paint it in. Get the colors you need. Don't forget to clean up when you're done. And work hard and have fun.